Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your boy Tony, aka ThayesTheMotivator, and I'd like to welcome you all to an all-new episode of Wake Up Wednesday, where I am your host, and I'd like to thank you all, like I always do, for your love, for your support, for your encouragement, for just supporting the show and subscribing and just sharing it with the world. I just like to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And I'd like to jump right into it this week and just go for it. All right, so today, y'all, I want to talk to you all about something that we're going to inevitably experience while we're on our way to greatness. Today I want to talk to you about something that comes off rough, but is actually a great thing. Today I want to talk to you all about hardships. Yeah, as we walk through greatness and as we walk through the journey to be all that we're called to be and to do all that we are called to do, we got to understand something. There are going to be times where we're going to have to endure hardships. There are going to be times where we're going to have to face things that we just don't want to face. And, you know, everybody knows that person that comes off rough or comes off mean or comes off snobbish or comes off real rough. But once you begin to sit down and, you begin to talk to that person, you begin to find out that they really aren't so bad. You begin to talk to them and you find out, okay, they really were okay. They really were cool cat, or they really were, good people. And I'm telling you, hardship represents that person. Because let's be honest, nobody really wants to endure hardships. Everybody loves sunny days. We love when things are going well. We love when bills are paid. We love when our bodies feel good. We love when everything is just going our way. But what about those days when it ain't sunny outside? What about those days when it's raining out? What about when the clouds are rolling in and you can hear the thunder and you can see the lightning? What about when all isn't well? What about when your body isn't healed but it's impacted with sickness and fatigue and tiredness? What about when bills aren't paid? What about when those hardships begin to come in? And see, those are the things that I'm talking about. When we begin to go through greatness, there are going to be things that are going to come at us and try to make us run the other way. But as hardships begin to come, you got to know that they're not here to beat me down, but they're here to build me up. Because without hardship, we would never know. Because hardship comes to give us 5 things. Hardship, number 1, comes to show us who and what we're made of. Hardships come to show us what gifts we have on the inside and what greatness we possess. You wouldn't have known how strong you could be until you were called to be strong. Until you got that phone call saying somebody had died or had passed, you didn't know how strong you could be in that weakest, and when the moment when you thought you were going to be at your lowest and at your weakness. You didn't know how well you could fight until you had to, right? You didn't know how tenacious you can be until it was called for you to be it. You didn't know how creative you could be until you had to piece things together and make things happen out of nothing. You didn't know how creative and how great you can be. So hardships come now to show us that it's greatness on the inside of you. If hardship would have never came, you wouldn't have known how great you could possibly be. Hardships come only to make you wisen up, make you man up, make you woman up, make you stand up and embrace. And what does it mean, embrace? Embrace means to fully capture and to fully understand. Hardships comes to make you fully capture and fully understand who and what you're made of. That's number 1. Number 2, hardships come to teach us discipline and humility. Let's be honest now. If everything would have gone right in our lives, if we never would have suffered any sickness, what if those lights would have never got cut off? What if we would have never suffered that eviction notice? What if our daughter or our son would have never went to prison? What if our husband would have never left us? What if we would have never suffered that bad breakup? I'm telling you, we wouldn't have known the humility that we know now, because those type of hardships come to keep us grounded, to keep us level-minded, to keep us from getting haughty, to keep us from getting arrogant, to keep us from getting snooty and thinking that we're better than anybody. Because if your kid would have never went through the struggles and through the rain that they had to go through and took you through, you would have never known how to be compassionate when somebody else was going through with their kids. You might have looked down and said, okay, well, they might not be a good parent, or they need to be doing better. But no, now that you've gone through something with your own kid, now you can identify with an eye of compassion and not with an eye of judgment. So there are things that come in your life, and they're going to come during this road called greatness, that you're going to endure things that are going to come simply to humble you and to ground you, because God did not make you to be haughty or arrogant. Yeah, you are great, but you are not called to be arrogant. God needs you to walk in greatness, but to be humble all at the same time. So he sends hardships to humble you. Number 3, hardship comes to give us wisdom. I'm telling you, everything that we've gone through that seemed bad, everything that we've gone through that seems just chaotic and just traumatic, I'm guarantee you, if you begin to look at that thing and fully examine it, I can guarantee you have found something in it that has taught you something. It has taught you how to be smarter the next time. When we go through a trouble and traumatic thing, now we know what not to do next time, how to operate next time, what to say this time, and not to go so quick next time. It shows us how to time ourselves. It shows us how to be more organized. I'm telling you, man, when we go through stuff, it'll teach us how to be better the next time. So you got to learn how to embrace those hardships when they come, because they're teaching us how to be wiser. Okay? Number 4, hardships come to strengthen our faith. If we would have never gone through anything, we would have never known how to rely on our God. That's the bottom line about it. Now, I'm going to tell you something now. What if, because I'm saying if all things would have worked out in our fashion, we wouldn't have never needed faith. But because things were shaky and it seemed like all hell was breaking loose, and it seemed like we were about to lose everything, but the fact that we were able to go through it and endure that hardship and everything work itself out on the end, it taught you now how to walk by faith and not by sight. It taught you how to trust the greatness on the inside of you. The greater is He that is on the inside of me. It taught you how to rely on you than to rely on the situations and the circumstances. Now, when things get crazy and the circumstances begin to change, you don't buckle, you don't fold, you don't compromise, because you know I done went through hardships before. I done went through a down moment before. I done went through a traumatic moment before, and in all seasons past, I have come out with victory. So now you know I can rely on the greatness in me, and I ain't gonna rely on the things that change on the outside. When things are going crazy on the outside, I'm gonna have peace on the inside. All right. Then the last thing, number 5, hardships come to show us the power of our God. What if sickness would have never came? You wouldn't have known God to be your healer. What if your money wouldn't have got tight? You wouldn't have known God to be your provider. What if you wouldn't have lost your job? You wouldn't have known God to be a way maker. What if all hell didn't break loose? You wouldn't have known Him to be your Prince of Peace, to give you peace in your mind that surpasses all understanding. What if you didn't go through that troubled divorce or that troubled marriage? You wouldn't have known God to be a restorer of a broken heart. You wouldn't have known this, but God allowed you to go through all the hardships that you go through and all the things that you're going to embrace. Because He got to take things from you. He got to take pride away from you. He got to take arrogance away from you. He got to take fear away from you. And the way that He does it is He's saying something that looks hard, which is hardship. He's saying something that talks tough. He's saying something that walks real bold. Because I'm going to tell you, hardships come to give us tough love. It comes to give us tough truth and tough wisdom. It talks real bold. And on the outside, the exterior looks hard. But if you go on the inside of it, you know that hardships really come to build me up. Hardship is only here to make you greater. This is why God orders hardship to come to those that are great, those that are called to do His will, those that are called to be better than what they are right now. You are experiencing hardship in your life only to make you greater. It is not to break you down. It is not to tear you up. And it's not to make you go tuck away in the corner. It is to make you greater. It is to make you rise up and be all that you are called to be. As you walk this journey called greatness, you got to understand there are going to be tough times. There are going to be times you want to quit. There are going to be times you want to give in and say, forget everything. But you got to be tenacious of it, because hardships come to see what you really made of. I hear you talking about it, but when hardships come, it's going to really make you man up, woman up, and show what you've been talking about. It ain't good enough to just talk about it. You got to start showing it. And this is why God allows hardship to come, because it's going to take away from you everything that you don't need, and it's going to add to you everything that you do need, because you are great. But the place that you're about to go next, you couldn't go the way that you were. You couldn't go in the condition that you were in. So hardships got to come to make you be ready and to make you prepare for the next great thing that God is about to do in your life. So I just come to inspire you. I come to motivate you. I come to uplift you and to keep you folks and to tell you, look here, embrace your hardships. In fact, fall in love with your hardship, because your hardship is not a bully, but it is your best buddy. I'm telling you, your hardship is coming to only make you greater. And I tell you, man, like I always say, when you begin to wake up, you can see your dreams begin to come true. Wake up.